Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I wanted to talk about the synastry aspect, Jupiter conjunct to Jupiter. So this aspect will occur when we are, about the same age roughly, and then also when there is a 12 or 13-year age gap, and then of course beyond that too if we have even a larger age gap. And I do feel that it is more significant if we do have an age gap, because if we are in the same year, we're going to share, a lot of the same outer planet conjunctions, even beyond Jupiter, but it will still be felt. But I think that it's more significant when we have a bit of an age gap, because then there could be other differences, and that's when you're going to really notice that you have this sameness in this area of Jupiter. So what does Jupiter represent? Expansion, joy, our faith, our risk taking. So with Jupiter conjunct Jupiter in synastry, we're going to have the same energy in these ways. So we don't have to translate our spiritual or philosophical beliefs when we have this conjunction. We also are similarly inclined to take risks or not. So you have to look at the Jupiter sign and see, like, if we've got, a fire Jupiter conjunction, we're going to tend to be very similar in the way that we take risks, which is usually impulsively. But if we have, a Jupiter in Cancer or something, then we might both be similarly conservative or cautious in the way that we take risks or the way that we spend money. So you can see on the negative side people going to extremes and excess with this Jupiter conjunct Jupiter aspect. So, if we have two strongly Jupiterian personalities, we could see some pretty crazy stuff happening with Jupiter conjunct Jupiter in synastry, getting a little wild, a little bit reckless, gambling, impulsive actions that are actually damaging. So that's not going to happen in most cases, but in some cases that can happen. So that's something to look out for. Is Jupiter conjunct to Jupiter could lead to too much Jupiter, which is too much expansion, too much encouraging each other to take risks or believe in the good, and then you end up maybe doing some stupid things that were promoted by this aspect. So yeah, but that's the rarity. Usually it is going to be a very empowering, very exciting, very inspiring connection that really teaches you a lot. Jupiter is also the teacher, so you can really learn a lot, but it's not necessarily stuff like that you don't already know, because you're both coming from the same kind of intellectual background. So it's like you'll learn, but it's not necessarily something that's so far out, because you generally have a similar belief system or a similar life philosophy, right? But it can also be very affirming of that. So you can really feel like you more, and you feel on track more. You feel connected to your joy and your enthusiasm and your inspiration and your faith more in this relationship. So you feel very connected to something higher with this person. So it can be a great combination actually for teacher student, because you both teach and you both kind of learn in a similar way, unless Mercury is very differently aspected, then maybe you don't actually learn in the same way, but you definitely both teach in the same way. And your exuberance, your outward energy, a part of your masculine energy, Jupiter is a part of our masculine energy for sure, is the same. So there is a real natural kind of open-hearted generosity with this aspect of Jupiter conjunct to Jupiter. And, meeting someone, if it is someone of a different age with this same sort of life philosophy, can feel, kind of like we're meeting an old friend. And it can feel very, interestingly enough, it can even feel kind of intimate if we have other aspects that show closeness. This won't necessarily lead to emotional closeness, but a kind of closeness that is based on this shared philosophy of life, or this shared spiritual belief, or this shared reckless impulsive energy that you may have depending on your Jupiter sign or house placement. So it is a feel-good aspect. It is generally a feel-good aspect and a feel big energy aspect. If this person is telling you to give them a bunch of money. You might just go ahead and do it. So that's what you want to look out for with this, is like the good feelings becoming too much, that you actually do act in a way that is maybe not grounded. So you want to make sure you have a balance of Saturn to go with this Jupiter aspect. But generally it is very favorable. The only, difficulty is the over giving or the excess or the recklessness that could happen if we've got, more fiery Jupiters. But usually this is going to be just a shared philosophy. Like, you don't have to fight about beliefs. Usually you're pretty in line. You kind of agree, even politically, like you might agree on things, like if you care about politics, or like you might agree on like traveling or like higher education, and like, yeah, so it's like more agreement than not on most things. Not that you're going to agree on every single thing. You probably have squares somewhere else, but you generally agree on like beliefs. And also you give each other a lot of grace, because you do actually just feel really good and you feel like good vibes for this person. Jupiter in a conjunction is one of the most felt energies in Synastry, because it's big energy. Jupiter is like the biggest, planet, and it's like this very expansive, jovial, there's a lot of laughter when we have Jupiter conjunct Jupiter. Like, this person cracks you up, and they're just delightful in all ways. And, you really are seeing yourself in them, because you're the same. The conjunction is unison. You are the same in this aspect. So, everything you love about them is really you in some aspect. And you might have it aspected differently. You might have it in different houses, right? But it is the same energy, which can be very healing to meet in the outside world, right? And, if we are born close in age, there is that shared belief system and way that you learn. I think there's one Jupiter book that actually goes into it was like a teacher who wrote it. I forget which book it is now. I wish I could think of the exact name of the book, but like it went into like the different Jupiter signs, or maybe it was just one of my books that quoted this study where this teacher like studied each of the Jupiter signs in her classroom and how they learnt in class and how they like did projects and how they were basically in the classroom. And it went into each of the Jupiter signs, because you're going to share this with your year, roughly, right? So, it was really interesting. So it's funny, like, so most of the people in my year have Jupiter in Sagittarius, or all of them actually, I think. So it was funny, I think, said about them was like, they can't really follow the rules. Like, they're very intelligent when they try, but they don't usually do their homework, kind of thing. They're very loud and joking around or something, like, kind of. But it was very classic, like, with each Jupiter, like, she went into it, like, how they were in the classroom. And so, I mean, I'm just saying that because, like, that's kind of the vibe, is like you're going to have the same sort of like style with everybody in your age group as far as that goes. So, that can lead to relationships that end up being enduring and end up really like being reinforcing to like your beliefs about life and your joy and your faith in the future. So, there's really a fortunate energy to this aspect. And there's not too much bad about it, except you could go a bit overboard, but usually it's going to be a welcome aspect to see. Like I said, I prefer it in a bit of a age gap relationship, because it'll show that even though you maybe have had very different lives because of the different other generational planets, you have this same like shared philosophy that you've come to that can be very inspiring. So this can be great for like working together on some common goal. Although, if it was like a more spiritual goal or like something to do with faith, that would be probably like the best use of it. But it can be really constructive and inspiring when you have this conjunction. So I'd love to hear your experiences of it. If you have had it in Synastry, what was it like for you? I'd love to hear about it. Thank you so much for the requests, you guys. Keep your requests coming, and we'll talk soon. Bye.